Hey, thanks for joining us for the 2021 self improvement video. We're starting out with pile one with offer, pile two with devote, pile three with surrender and trust, and pile four with be fluid. Can't wait to see you over here in your piles.
Hi, loved ones. This is Faye the Oracle coming to you with Pile Ones, part of the reading for our self improvement tarot card pick a card reading. The first card for Pile 1 is Offer. And I'm just going to read to you for a bit from the booklet to give greater insight into Pile 1's process for self improvement. You have the opportunity to live each day as an offering, to hand over your efforts and the results to divine presence, also known as God slash goddess slash all that is. When you do so, you will never feel drained, burned out, overwhelmed, or uninspired. Instead, divine energy will fill you and you will experience a great joy and success in all that you do. So it goes on to talk about how every single thing that you do takes energy. And when you consciously direct this energy toward a specific frequency, deity, desire, or cause, you are weaving magic. And by seeing the value in your efforts and the passion that you are offering to the planet, is also in recognition of your own, basically your own, fundamental idea around maybe even enlightenment. Um, I feel like this is something that is also talks about a need for spiritual nourishment, so to speak. Oftentimes, we have a lot of understanding around things that are more in line with our physical world. So we understand the importance of good mental health, the importance of hard work and dedication to accomplish your goals. But we're not oftentimes really taking time to really recognize the purposefulness in which we are undertaking all of these things. So let's get some more insight for us. This first deck was the one that called out to me, which is the Precious Gems Oracle deck. So let's see what guidance, insight we can get here to further represent apparently what your ideal presence of mind, I think, is supposed to be. When we're talking about self improvement, we often see it as if there are flaws that we have that we are supposed to change. We don't necessarily see it as an attempt to overall improve our lives by addressing things that are holding us back or keeping us down. Okay, and how fitting. We have Malachite, which is the card of transformation, and we have Sugalite, which is the card of kindred spirits. Now, Malachite is a stone that I don't have a lot of experience with, so I'll read to you from the booklet for this as well. It says that Malachite's divinatory meaning is to be resourceful. A mundane skill can become a great asset. Bring out the best of what you have at hand. Dust off the old and make it new. Personal transformation inside and out. And there's an affirmation associated with the Malachite card that may be helpful for you, Pile 1. I am ready to transform. My life force is stimulated. I have strength and courage. I am drawn to the right path. And it says that Malachite helps us in our spirit to evolve as it guides us to our true path. It is also a protection stone. It is a stone that is said to draw impurities from aura and stimulates life force. They said that this kind of stone can be used to ward off danger, and that keeping a few pieces of malachite in and around the home helps maintain a bright and positive atmosphere. So, yes, talking definitely about, I feel like getting in a place of really addressing insecurity. Malachite being a storm of transformation and protection is often representative of, I feel like, what insecurities often come out to be for us. Usually we see them as faults or we see them as things that need to be remedied. I don't think we ever see our insecurities as what it actually is, which is a means to defend and protect ourselves. So if you are, say, for example, feel insecure in social engagements, it's likely as a feeling to help you want to avoid them, And by avoiding them, you also avoid the risk of being, embarrassed in public situations. Because the reality is of being in public is that more often than not, people are just not paying attention to you. But that's not what social anxiety feels like. And insecurities, oftentimes, they are things that are highlighted for us, but don't necessarily have any kind of representation for other people. Meaning that our insecurities only mean something to us, they don't actually mean anything to others, so to speak. And then we have Sugilite, the stone of kindred spirits, which is definitely calling in, I feel like, needing to get support from your community. And interest leads to new connections. A meaningful meeting, someone is just the medicine you need. Time with friends is therapeutic. Sensitivity has its strengths. Feel protected and appreciated. And this affirmation may also be helpful. Violet light illuminates the darkness. I embrace my sensitivity and am protected from harshness. I attract kindred spirits. I am bathed in a powerful violet light. And this card talks about as being a sign for those who find the realities of the world too harsh at times. And it says that carrying this gem, you will find it attracts kindred spirits. And this is perhaps the most beautiful of its many gifts. It's apparently also good for using to open up your third eye during meditation for strength and to alleviate despair and emotional turmoil. So yeah, it definitely has been a message that has been relevant in my life so far. A big part of what it is that I'm trying to accomplish with myself is recognizing that while I've had, specific relationships in my life, like family and friends who were supposed to be invited into my space in order to share knowledge, safety, love, and community with me, sometimes the way that we get those things don't come from just inviting people in, but and really recognizing who is actually available and who is deserving of your energy. And really acknowledging these kinds of things really bring forward some energy of clarity, but also introspection. Good people exist. It oftentimes is very difficult for us to meet them because we have some kind of insecurity around approaching people, talking, or speaking up about ourselves, and this can sometimes influence how we feel other people feel about us because we have difficulty with opening ourselves up to them. So just drawing a few tarot cards for you, pile one, to get some greater insight into your self-improvement. Now is a great time to set manifestations for this next year, as it really is a very magical time this time of year. The collective believes in the magic of Christmas and the magic of making New Year's resolutions. And so embracing that and recognizing that also allows you to set a lot of seeds that you want to see grow in the coming year. Interesting. So already I see that there's a level of despair that you experience around vulnerability. So, for example, we have two cards here who I specifically see as being positive, no matter where they fall into, whether it be upright or reverse. And that is the Four of Wands and the Nine of Coins here. And the thing is about the Four of Wands is the Four of Wands is a celebration card. It's a card of stability. Its fours are incredibly stable numbers. It's a card and number associated with the home, with foundations, with pleasant things, and with coming to a place of stability after the kind of search, wandering, or waiting associated with the Three of Wands. And the Nine of Coins is a card of self-reliance, self-confidence, independence, and financial stability. All of these are usually based around the idea of you being in a great deal of self-knowledge, self-understanding. And through this self-knowledge and self-understanding, you're able to use your own natural talents, skills, habits, and even hobbies to the best of your benefit, which is what offers in this luxury associated with the Nine's financial stability. This card came up reversed. It also came up reversed with the Four of Coins. The Four of Coins is an interesting card in that, with fours being associated with stability, it does mean that you are at some position doing pretty well with these cards here. Now, for them to be reversed, I would say that it comes with you not necessarily having the self confidence to really recognize that, or maybe having a great fear in your ability to maintain the stability. So, because the Four of Coins is the card that I've had associated with being the Emperor wannabe. So the person usually depicted on the Four of Coins is a male person or a masculine. With this particular card, it reminds me, of course, of the story of Rapunzel. She's looking out from this ivory tower, where she's being held captive essentially, and she's hoping one day to be able to be free. This card coming up reversed usually talks about there does need to be a measure of freedom here. You are a force to be reckoned with, and there are a lot of things that you apparently have to offer. It can be a lot of difficulty in this life, and especially considering that not everything that we want will always come to us in the time frame that we like. But the one thing's for sure is that nothing that we need is actually going to be removed from our lives by spirit. And through taking a lot of care and a lot of responsibility with maintaining your sense of well-being, working on your sense of self-confidence, and focusing on improving your overall ability to openly project and participate in the life that you want to have. Oftentimes we forget that it is not enough to want things. We have to also be willing to participate in the life that we want to have. So if you're someone, for example, who's an artist and you want to have greater success in your artwork, that may require you to put in a lot of time, yes. But it also may be necessary for you to recognize that there is an entire abundance of people out there in the world who haven't heard of your art yet. And so it may be necessary for you to really invest some time into building the overall narrative around yourself as being an artist, as being someone who is approachable that people can talk to about your art, as someone who shares their art with others so that they can get the recognition that they deserve. And I feel like this is where we bring up this Page of Coins. The Page of Coins is a card that is essentially trying to learn everything they can about what it is they have found some kind of value in, whether it's an idea, a project, or they're just simply in school. This is a card associated with learning, and then with using the things that they learn, the knowledge that they gain, the wisdom that they gain, that they evolve from the page to the knight to the king, and then finally gaining all of the insights that is associated with becoming the emperor in one's life. I feel like there's a great deal here that you have learned and have experienced, and now it's time for you to recognize how you can use these tools to your best benefit. But that's what I have for you now, Pile 1. It looks like you are doing a great deal of successful gathering of financial stability. It's just time for you to recognize that now that you're in this spot, this place, that you can start to live your life differently and to give yourself permission to do so. Next card for pile 2, we have the Devote card. The Devote card. It's a really beautiful card as well. You see there is this feminine person who is here on top of some boat in a lake or a stream of some sort, and she's thrusting out a heart, one of many that she either gathered from the water or is returning herself. Oh, okay, I see. I don't know how well you can see it here, but if you look upward, these hearts are actually falling down from heaven. So that's very interesting because she's picking them up and putting them into her boat, but she's also presenting one skyward. Let's see. Devote. True devotion means following the flow of love for love's sake. Divine love is the purest, strongest, and most potent substance in the universe. When you direct devotional love toward the divine, infinite love comes right back at you, flooding your energy field and illuminating your heart. And it says to remember that devotion is the simple but profound act of letting go into the energy of love. Surrender and give yourself fully to love. Let it lift you and carry you along like a fallen leaf in a clear, rushing stream. With immaculate care and attention, express love for the divine. Just as you dote on your friends and family with tokens and demonstrations of your affection, freely express your passion for God, Goddess, and all that is in any way that feels right to you. Okay, so this really talks about more along the lines of gratitude for me. Usually the words of devotion, I feel like I always associate them with like being a monk or a nun in like a monastery, and like you devote all of your time to prayer and thinking about God. But oftentimes I think we fail to recognize that since we are God, all that is within us. Anything that we devote our love, time, and attention to is an act of devotion to the divine. It's important that you recognize that finding this devotion of love is also a big part of finding your purpose. The things that we spend our time doing become a part of us. And so, why it's very important to devote positive energy into things. So, let's see now, because this is a reading about improvement. What ways do you need to bring in more understanding to improve? Let's see. All right, the first card we have is Ruby, which is the card of self actualization. Now, rubies are really interesting. They happen to be one of my favorite stone cards, but they also have an inherent association with fire for me. So I've always been curious as to if this is some kind of association with some kind of fire sign deep down inside for you all. Because it says that this card is associated with Aries, Cancer, Leo, Sagittarius, and Scorpio. So let's see. It says this card is associated with the meaning of you are who you choose to be. The awareness that your character is not static. Work on yourself. Nurture, polish, and strengthen qualities to admire in yourself. And here's an affirmation. I am fully energized. My sense of adventure is awakened. I am strong and focused. My dreams will be actualized. And it said that drawing this card is extremely fortunate. The high energy of Ruby transforms thought and intent into physical certainty. There is no better gem for bringing self-realization and self-actualization. And that's so interesting. I do believe it's like, I forget the name of the philosopher or psychologist, but there is a hierarchy of needs. And in the hierarchy of needs, it suggests that we cannot reach the goal of self-actualization unless our needs for food, shelter, water, love, affection, community, and other basic necessities that allow us to feel as if we are thriving and not just surviving here. And only through coming to all of that are we able to enter into a place where we can even reflect enough to become self-actualized. So I do believe this also talks about you needing to spend more time developing a model of life, so to speak, one where you can, sufficiently or I guess consistently rely on for comfort when you are unsure as to the stability of what it is that you have around you. So it's like one of those things where sometimes I worry about money and I say to myself, or if I have something that I want to buy and I know I have the money but I don't feel good about buying it, I always say to myself that every dollar I spend returns to me times 10. And manifesting is, of course, one thing, but also in giving knowledge to yourself that money isn't a real thing. You can't hold on to it. It's meant to be gained so that you can spend it. Saving it or keeping some kind of small sum around in order to secure yourself if should something happen and you have some kind of emergency expense, that's one thing. But we can't live our lives thinking that if we don't hold on to things as tightly as possible, we won't be able to survive because whatever it is that we hold on too tightly, it messes up the flow of return for us. It's good to be in a place of acceptance so that you can let things go so that they can come back to you. So let's see. This next card is Diamond, which is the card of illumination. It says a flash of brilliance, a clear option in a sea of information, being open to many different perspectives while knowing your mind and deciding for yourself, heightened clairvoyance and psychic ability. And this is the affirmation. The light of my soul shines with brilliance. I am empowered and able to reach my full potential. I see both within and without with clarity. My own chakra, my crown chakra radiates light and connects me to the universe. Okay. So this is another card of so let's see. So we talk about the devotion to the divine. We talk about self-actualization with Ruby, and we talk now about illumination with Diamond. So it seems to me that this is all about calling into congregation, a greater sense of reliance on the universe to provide for all of your physical needs. And then entrusting in that those needs will be met, you will allow yourself up the energy you need to devote into certain practices, be them for yourself specifically, investing your time and energy into things you enjoy, people that you like talking to, and then recognizing those things as a part of your devoted practice and gratefulness to the universe. Because I feel like the greatest show of gratitude we can have is by living our lives to the fullest. And then through there, we can give back to our community and to others because we are already in a place of being full and abundant. So it says the diamonds are intensely powerful and can amplify energy and thoughts. It says there is no better gem to connect you with the source of universal energy and illuminate the soul. You could not ask for a more fortunate card, especially if you need strength, fearlessness, and ingenuity. Your soul light shines brightly. So that's really beautiful. Because it talks about when placed on a third eye, it will open you to spiritual development and psychic vision, and that it also encourages creativity, inventiveness, and imagination. So once again, talks about imagination, creativity, all kinds of energy very much associated with the ability of creation, which is what the source has and regularly uses to invite things into our life, including us. And never forget that you are also a gift in your own life, because you could have been anybody, but you're you, and that's so special because there isn't anybody else in this universe who can be you, but you were given that role, and you have now that ability to make all the actions you need, or to make all the decisions you need to really start your life in a direction that you want and deserve. And we're already coming in here with some good energy with the Fool card. I just need one more. They gave me two more, so I shall accept them. Let's see. Okay, so already what I'm interpreting from the spread is just great, and it's talking about a great need for knowledge, and then specifically from that knowledge is wisdom. And then I do believe also an encouragement for you to act more independently as well. So let's get into this. So this is the Fool card. The Fool card is known as number 0, as it is the Fool who goes on this journey of enlightenment that allows himself, or themselves, I should say most specifically. If anybody's non-binary, it's definitely the Fool. The Fool going out and experiencing the journeys of their life and meeting the other characters associated with the major arcana is how we get a representation for our life's journey in general. So the Fool talks about new beginnings, fresh starts, going out on new adventures, but also being very pure, very open, and willing to be vulnerable in the way that it would be necessary for you to make the best of that kind of situation. This is also a card I associated with independence, being free spirited, and then also in having a lot of courage in face of your fears. See, the fool doesn't know what's going to happen on this journey because the journey in and of itself is about the fool learning and understanding. So they don't know, for example, that if they leave or if they take this chance or if they take this opportunity, that they will be successful. They only have deep inside themselves, however, a need to travel, to journey, to experience new things. And so they decide to put that first foot out and make that leap of faith. And with the King of Swords, I feel as if this is Spirit's confirmation to you. But through taking this leap, that you are gaining a greater sense of self understanding, self knowledge, but also a valuable experience. The King of Swords is someone who understands his mind completely. He doesn't mince words, he listens, and then he articulates quite eloquently what he will and won't do. And he's also someone who has a bold and strong presence. And I feel like between these two, this is a great take on how the inexperience can lead to a great sense of self-knowledge and self-mastery that we did not expect. Mostly specifically because we are able to make mistakes. It's through making mistakes that the page can eventually become the King of Swords. And this is interesting because the next card from here is the Magician card in reversed. Now, the Magician card is a card greatly associated with the mastery over reality, essentially. The magician here is able to use all the knowledge that they have, all the tools at their, availability, all the resources available to them to create a reality of their own making. So they use the power of the wand, the sword, the cups or the chalices, and the coins, and that they're able to create something new. It's also a fiercely independent card, a card on recognizing your own unique power and your ability as a manifester. With this card reversed, it can talk about about a lot of things, but I don't think it's associated with this particular reading. But I'll say them to you anyway, in case it's helpful for pile 2 in general. So this is a card that is oftentimes, when it's reversed, associated with someone being a manipulator, a master manipulator, especially with the King of Swords card. This is someone who knows how to use whatever is available to them to come out on top. And now the thing about it is that this could be a negative, but it could also very much talk about your overall willingness to do whatever's necessary to win. That can be for good or for ill, depending on how you are inhabiting that energy and participating in it. I will say, though, that this says is that you are a lot smarter than you may have realized, and a lot more capable than you may have realized. And so this could be talking about the importance of not getting too independent or becoming too self-reliant, because sometimes that can lead us to not seek out the counsel that we could have that helps us keep us grounded, so to speak. Because having, unlimited power has the ability to corrupt you. And so that's where moderation comes in with the Temperance card. The Temperance card is all about taking a little bit of something, mixing it with another thing, and then creating something new, which is alchemy. That new thing is most assuredly you, using your experiences and your mistakes and creating this new understanding of yourself. It's very, very simple when you look at it from that perspective, but it can also be a difficult thing with the Two of Wands to know how to connect everything, because the Two of Wands is all about connections. I've also associated with it being not really sure which path to take, but I feel like in this particular circumstance, it talks about you needing to really recognize that there's a greater understanding or sense of your personal ability than you may have realized. And sometimes it can be very difficult for us to get started on things, which is what I associate with the Two of Wands reverse. Because the Two of Wands doesn't really offer much in terms of physical manifestation. This is all about making decisions, choosing the path you want to take. And when it comes to reverse, it says to me that you're not quite sure what to do yet. What that means is that you do know, you're just not sure if it's possible, or you need to give yourself permission to do so. So I would say definitely trust your intuition. Recognize that you can devote a lot of time to something else if this thing that you're wanting right now isn't going to immediately lead to something. And through dedicating that time and energy to things that make you happy, make you feel capable, make you feel special or important, you're able to open yourself up to a lot more opportunities than by blindly following something that you're not sure is going to take you anywhere. But that is it for you, Pile 2. I really appreciate you coming through, listening to me go on about self improvement. And I hope that you're able to get something here that will help you move forward into this new year. Be sure to like, share, subscribe to my channel, and to follow me on Instagram, where I have card of the days and other things that I do over there. All right, this next card we have is Be Fluid. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a mermaid there moving in a circular motion with a goldfish completing the circle with them, it looks like. Let's see. Be fluid. In this great sea of dynamically shifting circumstances and events, now is a time to choose flow over fixity. Be flexible, fluid, and gracefully adaptable. You are reminded to love what is. This does not mean resigning yourself to being stuck where you are. You can find the blessing and perfection in your present moment while simultaneously choosing to create positive change according to your highest vision for yourself, your life, and any situation. Such is the wisdom of fluidity. Okay. See, I really love this card. It has a big impact for me because one thing I always feel like needs to be, needs to be brought up more often is that people are very complicated. People are very complicated. They're highly faceted. We can all be involved in and concerned about a lot of things all at once. It's often people who are single-minded, I feel like, who are able to get more things done just because they're able to close out and focus their vision on only what's in front of them or what they feel like they want to do immediately. And that's a great tool, but it's also important to be able to be flexible even in that, because sometimes we are not able to just storm forward and push our will ourselves through something. Sometimes we have to take a roundabout method in order to get to the place where we actually want to be. This can come from you needing to be patient, needing to get more information before you make a decision, needing to make more preparations before you can confidently say that you have made the right decisions. All of these things are all associated with being fluid for me. So let's see what other information we can get about how to improve for you, Pile 3. All right, so this came out straight out of the deck when I split it, so that's definitely for you. And then I'm going to take one more. Let's see. Angel Aura. An angel aura is a stone of communication. So let's see. Angel aura. Tackle doubt and fear with information and learned counsel. Communication will create opportunity. Talk, listen, and be guided by the wisdom of experience. Seek a broader perspective. Seek a broader perspective. And the affirmation associated is, I speak with clarity and definition. My message is received and understood. I have faith in my abilities. I am open to my angel guides. And it says this is a stone that enhances your connection with angels and spirit guides. It enables you to express yourself with more clarity and to be heard and understood on a higher level. And it says that it also breaks down doubt, negativity, and other barriers, and thus expands the possibilities open to you. Okay, yeah. And so It says that this card means you have an awareness of angels and it is time to connect with them. You know, honestly, and I may really go through and try to do a video for you guys about how to connect to your angels, because oftentimes I feel like people have a great sense of awareness, but they're not really sure how to harness it. And it just will be a little tool guide. I feel like that could be very helpful. So I'll definitely go ahead and make that for you all, because it could be very helpful if you're already feeling these intuitive connections. So let's see. So we have the Picasso Jasper, which is associated with nature. Oh yeah. Love some nature, y'all. It definitely is 100% of the reason why I still come back to the earth for reincarnation. It is beautiful. I love the planet. It says that the Picasso Jasper is associated with realizing a connection, nature based activities or meditation, a creative surge, seeing things as they are, not as they should be, mixing imagination with practical plans. And this is the affirmation: I am in sync with the natural world. I am inspired by the beauty of nature. I absorb the energies of the landscape. I am at one with all living things. And it says this card suggests you will be connecting more strongly with nature. When you connect with this stone in meditation, it generates feelings of oneness, of being at one with all living things. Enjoy. But yes, so strong connections to nature. And you know, this really catapults to a lot of the complex feelings I have around winter, where I love the crispness of the air, but I hate being cold. But it's like also at the same time going outside and going for a walk anyway. Being cold lets me appreciate coming back into my warm house. So it's like one of those things that I feel like can be associated with how being uncomfortable can help bring us to a greater sense of enjoyment and attunement with being comfortable or being at peace or being free from pain. And so I would say that this is also a call from your angels and spirit guides to recognize that in connecting with them and being more in the flow of everything, of recognizing that everything that occurs happens for us, not to us, and that we're moving through cycles at every point in our lives will bring you a lot of peace and relief of the pain that you may have been experiencing, pile three. So let's pile three. Getting a different deck. So let's see. So we're talking about improvement, pile three. Improvements for pile three. Improvements for pile three. Okay. Interesting. So Nine of Cups, Ten of Swords, Seven of Swords, and the High Priestess reversed. So it seems to me that this is the completion of a long-standing issue potentially. Because Nine of Cups is a card of wish granting, wish fulfillment, supreme happiness. Something that comes from the conclusion of the entire emotional journey that you go on as a part of the cups, with the Ace of Cups talking about the new beginning of an emotional experience, and the Ten of Cups being the complete completion of that cycle and finding true and genuine happiness. The Nine of Cups is really along the lines of being a card associated with self-fulfillment. So there's something that you were looking to get through to the end of before you got to this next stage, which is represented by the Ten of Cups. So let's see, but that's then with the Ten of Swords here. The Ten of Swords is a card of completion. Whatever it is that you have been working through, you are coming to an end of it. The Ten of Swords makes this true. It is a card that talks about you having been through the worst of it, and having had a lot of mental anguish as a result of what it was that you were experiencing. But now that you've gotten through this, you are able to enter into a new cycle, a new phase. Which is interesting is that with the Seven of Swords here, this talks about something either being hidden, or something not necessarily being clear. It could be with the Ten of Swords and the Seven of Swords, there was some kind of a betrayal, something that you were recovering from, and that is why it's so necessary for you to be fluid, to trust in your spirit guides and angels, but also to find ways to reach a simpler place, I guess, associated with nature, with the Picasso Jasper, getting outside, getting outdoors, finding some release, finding some grounding in nature. And with the High Priestess reverse, I feel like whatever was hidden here, whatever is being kept secret, it's something that you're aware of and maybe not wanting to have to admit to yourself. But the one thing I can definitely say is that these things are coming between you and a greater understanding of the world around you. It could be that there are some things that you're just not ready to accept. It could also be that you're happy with where you are and you're not really worried about all of these other things yet. I will definitely say is to take your time with it, because unwinding all of these things that could be involving your future is not necessarily going to need to happen all at once. There's going to be great insight regardless, because the High Priestess can't be deterred. It's your inner intuition. It's your highest self reaching out to you from the spirit world. These are things that are going to have to be heard. Akashic records that are going to have to be read, for example, is what I just heard as well. And that's okay, because your overall ability to move through things and to become adaptable and become fluid is also how you'll be able to cope with these things once it is time for you to come to their reckoning. And if this is a long-standing situation, like I said before, it's also important for you to recognize that you're going to be different than the person you were before. So the things that may have happened that you were worried of or worried about finding out about may not even affect you the way that they would have before you went through this change. But yeah, that's it for pile 3, and I really appreciate you coming through. Please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Instagram. There are links in my bio. And I hope you join us again for another reading. All right, and then we have our final card here for number 4, surrender and trust. Surrender and trust. Let's see. It is as if a strong current of rushing white water surrounds you, pushing you forward while you cling desperately to a jutting rock along the river's edge. And yet, if you were to trust the universe enough to let go, you would swirl and slide joyfully along your most ideal path. Even though you may not know precisely how this path will look, if you consult with your deepest inner knowing, you will realize this current cannot fail to propel you to where your heart wants to go, to the ocean, which is a metaphor for your alignment with your divine source. And it says you are now being called to open your heart to the music of the heavenly realm, release resistance and tension, and let the divine be your dance partner and take the lead. Even though the unknown can be frightening and aspects of this situation may feel unsafe, know that you are being invited to embody your truest and highest potential. Indeed, this life experience is a wild mystery, but when we surrender to the mystery and trust in the divine unfolding of the spiral dance, it feels wonderful. Breathe into your sacred mystery now. Interesting, because I have a lot of boundaries around around a lot of that. There is intense vulnerability available and a lot of peace in releasing very many things that are holding us back in this lifetime. But there's also the reality of when you let go, that's it, You're just flowing. You're in the flow now. You're a part of the flow. You are the flow. You're within the flow. You're without the flow. That's a big deal. I don't think enough spiritualists talk about that. About finding enlightenment, finding inner peace is a big deal. It is a big deal. And people legitimately spend their whole lives working towards that. And honestly, I don't really necessarily get the point. I don't get the point because I don't understand why so much of life is given to us just to have it be released. There's just so many different things that we could probably just not be bothered to do or to deal with. But in doing and dealing with those things and then coming to accept them, you're going to enter into a place of inner peace anyway. So don't think that you're having to, in order to find inner peace, in order to surrender and trust, that you got to like give up eating chocolate or go live on a mountain. Sometimes it's literally just living within as much trust and surrender that you feel capable of, and then been like kind of leaning into that stretch, so to speak, and then finding that you're able to stretch further and further and further out. And I feel like a lot of those things come from me personally, not really wanting to be here if I can't do really cool hood rat shit with my friends. And that's really all I have on that. So let's see what they have to say about your self-improvement. Spirit has to say about your self-improvement. Pile 4. Where are we going from here, Pile 4? How do you need to improve yourself? All right, we got a smorgasbord of cards here. I'm typically only looking for 2. So we're going to take that one. And we're going to take this one. I'm going to do them all because you deserve a Pile 4. All right, so we have Zebra Jasper. Zebra Jasper, the card of engagement. Let's see. Because the first thing that came to my mind is proposals. I guess it's that time of year. Usually folks get married starting in June of the following year. So I assume there's a lot of Christmas engagements. Stepping out of a fog and re-engaging with activities and loved ones. Being responsible for your emotions and outcomes. Taking an active interest in your health, your well-being, and your future. And this is the affirmation for Zebra Jasper. Apathy has been replaced with optimism. I am grounded and attentive. I am focused enough to solve problems. I am in constant contact with nature and earth. Another earth-associated card. Interesting, because we also have Picasso Jasper here, which is associated with nature. So it says, Zebra Jasper's greatest attributes is his ability to maintain our connection with nature and the earth. When we are overthinking or become too immersed in the spiritual, it can help us to balance and ground, which is very important. Because when I first started realizing that I could speak to and hear my spirit guides, I talked to them all the time. And as a matter of fact, they had to remind me that, you should probably talk to some people who are also human. You should probably talk to some other people, do some other things. This this love, this healing that's being given, spread it around even, find some other means of expressing yourself, expressing the love, the divine love you may feel, expressing your spiritual truth, finding new ways to invite healing and community and communication into your life. You can come to a lot of truths. And then we have, with this deck as well, Ruby. Ruby, the card of self-actualization. You are who you choose to be. The awareness that your character is not static. Work on yourself. Nurture, polish, and strengthen qualities you admire in yourself. And it says this is a stone of leadership, as it can awaken the wearer to a sense of adventure. It increases chi or life force by emanating a vibrant red energy unsurpassed by any other gem. And as a healing stone, it helps with sexual dysfunction and the release of suppressed anger. We now have Sugilite, who is the stone of kindred spirits. And Sugilite talks about inviting and being open to receive connections from other kindred spirits, people who understand you and who are able to be of good counsel to you in your life's journey. An interest leads to new connections, a meaningful meeting. Someone is just the medicine you need. Time with friends is therapeutic. Sensitivity has its strengths. Feeling protected and appreciated. And it says this gem is known for its healing properties as well as for being one of the most powerful love stones of all. And it says that it's especially fortunate for those who find the realities of the world too harsh at times. So this is a great gem which talks about being a powerful love stone. Romantic love, platonic love, familial love, just love in general. Sometimes even love from strangers or love for strangers. It's like one of those things where you kind of need to recognize yourself as a force, a force. You move through the world, but you occupy a very sacred space under which only you are able to exist in and be yourself. And this is the kind of thing that comes with having an abundance of self-knowledge to even understand what it means to be yourself. But that's also the journey too, to learn what it is to be you, to be who you are meant to be, and to also be the person that you want to become. So let's see, what other cards can we get to discuss your movements towards self-improvement, self-understanding, and a stronger sense of connection is apparently on the list as well. Okay, so first card out of the deck we have is the Lovers card. So looks like y'all got a lot of different kinds of lovings going on, because we got the Lovers card twice, because this deck came with 4. And I was like, oh, I'm supposed to only leave 1 in. Then I was like, well, if they really, really mean some love, I'm going to leave all 4 in. And then here you go. We got 2 Lovers cards. 2 Lovers cards. So interesting. So, Lovers is a card that talks about cohesion, duality, sometimes choices where the decision requires sacrifice, but can also very much talk about you coming to a greater sense of hope, of cohesion within your own divinity as well. As we have both masculine and feminine energies within us, finding the balance of those two things leads to a more cooperative sense of self. And I say cooperative sense of self because being more unified does not actually eliminate any problems. And that is the thing is, even with finding self-peace, you don't actually eliminate any problems. You completely remove your attachment to the situations around you. So if there's minor inconveniences, you recognize that minor inconveniences happen, but they have no bearing on your life. If you're having like actual personal issues, like, illness or financial difficulties, you recognize that all of those things come as a part of the cycle, and that at any time we could lose all that we have, whether it be our health or our finances, but we trust in the universe to get us through those things, and we trust in our communities to help us survive, basically, as we move through the surrender and trust that's necessary to get through very difficult, very complicated situations. I feel like it also talks about a conversation. With these decks, I'm a huge fan of Steven Universe. So getting these decks and getting even associated with the stones in and of themselves have really hit home for me, and a part of that is with fusion. In the show, the gems are able to fuse with each other, and by combining their two energies, they create something completely new, which is representative of their relationship and connection to one another. And so fusion has been discussed as being a conversation between two people. And I feel like the Lovers card also represents that. No matter how close we are to other people, how much we love them, how much we feel very strongly connected to them, they are still their own individual. We unfortunately cannot become one in that sense. However, we can recognize our relationship as a conversation between two individual beings who are choosing to walk this path together. And it's interesting because apparently there was a lesson here that needed to be learned. Some kind of ending to some previous chapter around love. And as a result of it being around love, maybe also around abandonment, around releasing attachment. And with releasing attachment, we talk about this need to have control over other people's feelings, whether it be consciously or subconsciously. It's the kind of thing where attachment keeps you from telling someone important information because you don't want them to have an emotional reaction to it that makes you feel bad. Nobody says that. What they say, though, is that I didn't want you to worry, or I didn't want you to think that I was doing this to hurt you, or I didn't want you to, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's the hint there. I didn't want you to feel XYZ way about the information I was presenting to you. And then that also denies this person closure. And you are deserving of closure as well as other people in your lives and your relationships. So if this is a card, this Ten of Swords is associated with the end of a relationship, or maybe the end of stress and attachment as a result of relationships. However, that end is associated with a great new beginning of happiness, which is associated with the Ten of Cups. So that's a fantastic place to end, honestly, for you, Pile 4. You're moving into a new energy of being more engaged, more self actualized, finding and surrounding yourself with higher quality friends, families, and soulmates, and having a deeper sense of connection to the earth and everything. So I'm really happy for you, and I really hope that this reading brings you some ideas of how you can work your way forward into this new year. Please do be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Instagram. Also, be sure to check out my Instagram page for any new postings and things that I do exclusively over there. And I thank you so much for coming through. Bye-bye.